Clearly, I've changed my mind. Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So, that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episodes 7 and 8 of Fallout. So you might be confused, because I believe I said just in the last reaction video that I wasn't going to do the final 2 episodes together. I believe I said with this series, because of the episodes being double length, I was going to do them separately and continue as normal. But there's actually a notable reason why I'm doing this in this way now. And the answer is actually pretty simple. Just ease. Sake of ease, sake of consistency. You will have seen that this week's Sanda reaction also was finishing off the season. And because of that, I figured, you know what? If we're going to finish off Sanda this week, I think we can, and probably should, also finish off this. Because then I don't have to change, all my graphics and all my other, visuals for the channel and for the mid-card roll and stuff. I don't have to change all of that again 1 week later. It makes things a lot easier for me and allows for me to just change both of these at the same time. That's literally the reason I'm doing it this way. You could kind of chalk it up a little bit to almost laziness, but again, I prefer to look at it as I'm just being consistent. I'm just making things more streamlined to make it easier for myself. I wouldn't consider that necessarily lazy. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're doing these 2 episodes together, and I'm very interested to see how this ends, because I feel like this season has been focusing mostly on the New Vegas side of things, while setting up some stuff for the future, such as with the super mutant. And some storylines admittedly have not gotten as much attention. For example, Maximus, his entire storyline with Thaddeus and everyone else, wasn't as focused on as anything with the Ghoul or Lucy. Norm definitely got the short end of the stick. The stuff in Vault 33 got a little bit of a short end of the stick. But the problem is when you have all these different storylines, you can't give equal attention to them. The Ghoul and Lucy storylines are always going to have the biggest focus because they're the main storylines. Other stuff, let's be honest, is secondary. Yes, even Maximus's. Maximus is also a main character, but his storylines will always be secondary to stuff with the Ghoul and Lucy. Because while he's a main character, he's still secondary to them. He just is. That could change in season 3, but for these first 2 seasons, Maximus is not as important of a character as they are. Like, Cooper and Lucy are like the point of view, 2 sides of the same coin characters for this. This is their story more than anyone else's. Norm, his storyline in this, and I feel like this might be like a unpopular opinion, but has been my personal favorite. And that's including the fact that it's been, very minute. Despite the fact that we haven't gotten a lot with it, I've been probably more invested in that storyline. Because Lucy and Cooper's has pretty much just been the same thing as with season 1. It's just like, Lucy's is so basic. It's like, oh, I've got to find my dad to deliver justice, and I'm going to try to be like a good person the entire time, but the wasteland is going to start shaping me. Yay. There's not much to it. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's well executed, but the idea of the storyline is very simple. And then you have Cooper, where it's like you have both the present and the past. Again, something from season 1. But then it's just like Cooper's entire thing this season is he's starting to get attached to Lucy, but he has to betray her in the end. He's trying to find his wife and daughter, and that's it. Which, again, we all saw this coming in season 1. In fact, it kind of played out that same way in season 1. If you think about it. Just maybe not to the extremes that it did in this one. And then in for Cooper's backstory stuff, that's more interesting because it's starting to link Cooper, his family, and whatnot to the Enclave, to Mr. House, to other, just instances of everything going on. Not to mention, possibly the bombs dropping are connected to them somehow. We don't know the full context behind much of anything yet, but the backstory stuff, I will admit, is probably my second favorite of the storylines in this, because of how much more depth it gives. The stuff in Vault 33 is just kind of like there right now. It's setting something up, but we haven't really gotten, pun intended, the fallout from this yet. We haven't figured out where all of that is leading. And I feel like that's going to matter. And I feel like these last 2 episodes for the Vault 33 storyline specifically are going to be important to determining what I really feel about that one. That one could end up being my least favorite, but it really depends on where it ends. But yeah, this was a good season overall. I really enjoyed it. I don't know, right now where I would, how I would compare it to the first. I think I'll know after I watch these final 2 episodes. I think at that point I'll be able to tell how I would compare that to season 1. Which makes sense, finish out the season first. Excuse me. But I think that we should probably get into this and see what we have in store. But before we do, yes, I'm going to remind you again that we have a Patreon. I've been reminding quite a lot multiple times each video because the Patreon is new. We brought it to the channel at the beginning of the year. I'm still trying to get things going, trying to kick things off with it still. The Patreon gets you early access to all reactions. Depending on your tier, you get early access to movies, to shows, to specialty reactions, to first impressions. Just depends on your tier to which ones you get. You can find a comprehensive breakdown of every tier down in the description below. There's a link to the Patreon there, where you can find each one and what each one gives you. And that's going to be changing over time. It's going to be adjusting because we're still new at this, still trying to figure things out. And we might end up pushing forward. Maybe we'll end up at one point having reactions be 2 weeks ahead on the Patreon. That's always possible too. And we have other rewards on there currently as well, such as getting to vote on exclusive polls in the future, getting to choose things for me to just react to at some point, getting to choose first impressions for me to check out, and so on and so forth. It's all just dependent on which tier you are, but there's a tier for everyone no matter what. There's even a tier if you just want to support the channel but can't dedicate yourself to any notable amount. That's our $1 tier. $5 tier and above does start with the actual rewards though. And if you have any questions, any comments, any thoughts on how all of that is done, you can also message me in any of the, or not message, but you can say something in any of the, in any of the comment sections on any video. This one or any other. Like I said, we'll be adjusting things on the Patreon as we go along, so things might and will change. But remember as well, it is all completely optional. You don't have to join if you don't have the money right now, because I know how the economy can be. You also just don't have to if you don't want to. You don't have to give me a reason. I can't force you, and I'm not going to force you. That's just not okay. So, yeah, it's just a way to help support the channel. This is something I do full-time between this channel and the gaming channel. And because of that, you know, money does help. It helps me be able to get stuff for these channels, whether it's new games for the gaming channel or just other stuff coming in that I might need. It also just helps me in terms of general expenses. So obviously it's important, but again, only do what you are able to do. Can't force you, not going to force you. Do what you're able. And we'll go from there. But if you're, and again, if you're not able or not willing to, no worries there either. But yeah, that being said, let's get into today's reaction and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I expected that the Brotherhood were still going to be around and everything after the craziness that occurred. I didn't really believe that they were going to be completely taken out. It's not really a surprise. But I don't know, I do kind of wish it didn't look like there was a huge amount of, like, problems. I wish they had taken a bit of a bigger hit. But they're setting up for Liberty Prime, which is most likely going to happen next season. And so that's pretty fun. Our little stinger at the end is that we're going to get Liberty Prime, which that's going to be interesting to see how they're going to pull that off. But I believe they can do it. With Liberty Prime's size, it's like, that's going to be fun to see. But considering how well they pulled off the likes of Death Claws and whatnot here, it's like, I trust they'll be able to do it. Now, we have Caesar's Legion marching on New Vegas, and the NCR are already now stationed there. So we're definitely going to have this war coming into play. That, I think, is part of where Season 3 is going to start. I think the war is going to, like, be a big part of the first episode or two of Season 3. And might be what ends up pushing Lucy and Maximus and, I guess, possibly Mindwipe Tank out of Vegas and towards Colorado. So that's Colorado's definitely going to be the big focus of next season. But we might not get there as quickly as we got to Vegas in this season. It might take a little bit longer because we kind of have to, like, follow up on things here first. So we might not get to Colorado right away in Season 3, which is fine. I'm very interested to see this war between the NCR and Caesar's Legion anyway. So we got our answer about the previous Caesar, who is the Caesar from the game and everything, on who he was going to name the next Caesar, and it's no one. His note said, "I am Caesar, the Legion dies with me." And it's like, okay. But Macaulay Culkin's character, the Legate, I think was his position, basically chose to ignore that. Makes me think of that Sam Jackson. I think it was in one of the Avengers movies. It's like, I acknowledge the council has made a decision, but because it's a stupid ass decision, I elect to ignore it. Something like that. And so he's chosen instead to take the crown for himself. And everybody just kind of goes along with it. They don't even clearly need evidence or anything. So he becomes the new Caesar. And now they're marching on Vegas to create Caesar's Palace. Ha ha, funny joke. We get it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes in line. Let's talk about Norm's storyline throughout these episodes next. So after Norm had been taken down by the others from the Buds group, most notably the one guy whose name I can't remember, they're going to, like, take him away and do, like, this American free trial and stuff. But I think he did it on purpose. He ends up letting out the no. Wasn't it the girl who's knocked into the elevator button on accident? Something like that. But the roaches are let out because that had been set up before and we knew that was going to come into play. The roaches are let out and start attacking and killing all of the Buds group. Norm manages to fend them off enough, but the girl who's... It said her name, and I remembered her name briefly, but I can't remember it now. But she ends up getting trapped in a room with the other members as well as all the roaches. And we think she's dead at first. But she barely managed to survive. And at the end, Norm and her end up escaping together. Norm doesn't get his answers about the forced evolutionary virus and all of that and what's phase 2 for the vaults. Specifically Vault 33. But he does get a message out there. doesn't reach Lucy or his father, who he was trying to reach. He was trying to reach both of them, but instead we do end up finding out that it reached the Enclave, the true main villains of Fallout. Even more so than Vault-Tec, who are cartoonishly evil themselves. The Enclave are basically, I think I said this like an episode or two ago, basically a fascist shadow government group that are behind everything. They're behind Vault-Tec. And so we saw a little bit of them in season 1 with Siggy leaving them. Siggy Wizig or something like that. And we even got to see a glimpse at him in this season too. But we see that they're behind everything. They're the true villains, and they're the cause of all of these problems. And so we're setting that up for season 3. Now, it showed the base for the Enclave was in like a snowy mountainous area. Could that be the Rocky Mountains? Maybe they're going to be there for next season with Colorado and all. That's possible. Because if they're going to be like a big factor in season 3, and we're going to Colorado, that could like connect then, right? I guess we'll have to see. But let's move into Steph and Chet as the next storyline to talk about. So Chet tries to confront Steph about things, especially finding Woody's glasses in the sink. And we still don't actually know by the end of this what happened to Woody, by the way. Like, we never got answers on that. All we know is that his glasses were in the garbage disposal. We don't know that he's dead. He could be held prisoner somewhere. We don't know what happened to him right now. But either way, Chet ends up turning against her, and on the planned wedding, he ends up revealing everything, including the fact that she's Canadian, of all things. I don't know the full context of like the anti-Canadian propaganda or whatever bullshit is going on. But apparently, like, yeah, I guess they don't like Canada. I guess they, like, it seems like with the entire internment camp thing going on, there was something that was going on with Canada, and it's like players of the game will probably, of the series of games, will probably know more. I don't remember anything being mentioned about that in Fallout 4, but I might just be forgetting something. Because I've stated before, Fallout 4 is the only game I've like seen in its entirety. Because I watched a playthrough of that from Steven Plays. But I don't know if I don't know what the deal with that is. I don't know why, like, her being from Canada is such a shock and so terrifying or whatever, and why there were internment camps, why her mother and her tried to escape. I don't know what the deal with all of it is. I just don't. But she escaped into America, ended up making a name for herself and working up the ranks, and it seems like, from what I'm gathering by the end, especially with her contacting the Enclave through this special Pip-Boy, and specifically telling them that she is Hank McClane's wife, which technically is true. Like, that is true, even though it's not, like, technically, like, currently correct, I guess. I'm taking it she's working for the Enclave? And I'm taking it that Hank kind of was as well. More so than Vault-Tec. Because we know Hank had called someone. And, like, we even get to hear that message again at the end when it's showing the Enclave. So, they got that message either way. So, Hank was contacting the Enclave. It wasn't Mr. House. It wasn't Vault-Tec. He was maybe trying to contact the president specifically, who we see is Oh my god, why is my mind blanking? Clancy Brown. I had a brain fart there. But I'll get more into that in a minute here. So Steph tells them to activate phase 2, which, again, if that's releasing the forced evolutionary virus into the vaults, that's not good. That pretty much means everyone here is going to be mutated. And that's just not going to help anyone. But this might be connected to the super mutant we all saw as well. With things with that. The entire stuff with the Enclave and all. That might be the war that the super mutant was talking about. I guess we'll just have to see. Because I doubt it was the stuff with Caesar's Legion and the NCR. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens next time in terms of all of this. And especially because no matter what, like, Steph is trapped right now. It's like, unless this phase 2 goes off, like, instantly, it's like, what's going to happen here? I don't know. I don't know at this point. But it doesn't seem like anything good is going to come out of that. The vault stuff might just not be great. Might be kind of fucked, honestly. Might lose everybody in it, unless some of them somehow escape before that can go off. We'll see. We shall see. Moving on, though. Throughout these episodes, Maximus, the Ghoul, and Lucy kind of reconverge. But there's a good portion where Max is fighting the Death Claws. It's like really cool seeing him fighting them in the power armor, slicing their limbs off, slicing into their throats and chests, and even like nearly decapitating one. It wasn't even a full decapitation. Seeing Thaddeus try to help, but his arm fall off, and we also saw he had like this almost mouth on his like shoulder, like chest over here. And he's like, is this normal? And you could see Cooper look at him like, what the fuck? I don't think he's turning into a ghoul. Could he be turning into a mutant? Because this all started because he was given that medicine from the trader guy, the goat fucker, who ended up becoming, was it goats? It might have been something else, but who ended up becoming, like, you know, subservient to Hank. What if that was FEV? What if that was the a strain of the forced evolutionary virus? Because they're obviously pushing that, like, a lot. And with Thaddeus, like, not entirely seeming a lot like a ghoul, and especially with Cooper's reactions to him. I don't think he's turning into a ghoul. I don't think that's what's going on here. Because the arm falling off doesn't really make a lot of sense with that. So he might be mutating into, like, I don't know about a super mutant, but not all FEV recipients become super mutants. He might just be a mutant otherwise. So that's going to be interesting, like, to see where that ends up going. But Lucy ends up seeing through her father's plan. I'm so glad that she was smart enough to see through his bullshit. Because he was, like, so manipulative and terrible. And she played along at first to get him off his guard. But I'm so glad she saw through it. It's like she definitely is smarter than that. And the fact that the councilwoman from Coop's flashbacks and all ended up being like the key to making this all work is wild. Lucy having to end her like misery and like state of like barely being alive, let's be honest. it's I think a good thing how this has all been handled, because it's like everything is connecting, and we're seeing how really everything is like deeply like ingrained into the enclave. Because even in the flashback, she had the connection. She was the one who introduced Cooper to the president. So yeah, um, that's not great. But Lucy sees through it, and eventually, like with Cooper's help, she's able to stop her father and turn things around, and she ends up like taking away his memories. As she put it, like turning him into the father she thought he was, but that's not even quite necessarily true, because he just doesn't know who he is, or doesn't know really anything anymore. He's just kind of just not brain dead, but like barely a person at this point. And it's just I'm not sad for him at all, because he was terrible. He was atrociously evil person. But I am like sad for Lucy, because again, I said it during the reaction, but Hank was a good father to her. That's just undeniable. Despite the things he did, and especially towards her mother and all the other evil shit he's done, he was a good father in terms of how he raised her and Norm. But something still needed to happen. I would have preferred if he died, personally. But it makes sense that Lucy couldn't go through with doing that. It makes sense. And so this is the second best option. But I'm glad she and Maximus got to meet up again and are like back together. So that's nice to see. Um, and on top of that, there's Cooper's part of this. So after helping Max and them working together to get in and helping Lucy, he does find Robert House. He's able to turn him back on through like this technological form he's in now. And he gets help from House reaching the vault and reaching his family's cryopods, where he finds out that they are alive, but they're not in the cryopods, because he sees that there's a postcard his wife left for him telling him that they went to Colorado. So he knows they're alive, or at least were, but he's trusting that they still are. And he's following the trail. I think next season we will have them reunite. Because I think they're alive too. I think like having them be dead would honestly just be a waste of time. I also think next season we'll probably find out like what actually happened and how they got into the vault back when the bombs started dropping. How he got Janie to her, and why he was left out. I think we're going to find out all of that stuff as well. My only question is like, he didn't know where this vault was. So how did they get to this vault specifically? There's a lot of questions, but we'll probably find that out next season. But yeah, he's heading towards Colorado now to reunite with his family. And so that goes in line with that. But the backstory stuff, we see that his wife had completely started to help him and work with him. They even got like a little bit of help, interestingly enough, from Stephanie, which is how she ended up, meeting and marrying Hank, and all of that went down. How she worked her way to the top, like her mother told her to. But yeah, we see they were helping, and that they even had to plan out like how they were going to react when he got arrested, because of like he knew it was going to happen. He met with the president, Clancy Brown, um, which is, it's always great to see Clancy Brown in anything. I fucking love him. He's amazing. And not for SpongeBob or anything like that. He's one of the major characters in my favorite video game of all time, Detroit Become Human. He plays the hard-boiled police detective Hank, who has to befriend the android Connor, played by Brian Deckard. And it's my favorite storyline in the game, too. Like, Hank is probably my second favorite character after Connor. So, it's like, yeah, that's definitely it. Plus, he's been in so much else, voice acting and live action wise. He's such a prolific actor, and it's just like, it's always great to see him in anything. I really, really hope he has an expanded role in season 3. I assume he probably would, but I'm excited to see that, like leading the Enclave and everything. And then also, if we're gonna have Ron Perlman back as the super mutant as well, it's gonna be like, Jesus, that's like such an amazing duo of actors. They're both so good. But yeah, Coop gave the president the diode, and so that's interesting. Right now, did he leave the diode? I guess he took it back because House was turned off, right? I guess he took the diode back. So does he have it now again? I'm not sure. It never actually followed up in the end with where the diode was, I think. Unless I missed something, which is possible. But yeah, I really like how this entire thing has gone down, how it recontextualized a lot with these final 2 episodes, especially Steph. Steph was entirely recontextualized. In a very interesting way. And I feel like, again, if I knew more about the entire stuff with Canada, with this series, I would probably have more of like a concrete opinion on her, but I don't know enough. And so I feel like I need to learn more and I need to see more. Don't spoil me on anything that could be in season 3, though. I don't want like any like kind of spoilers for that. I'm hoping they'll explain more when that comes into play. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'm very curious to see where that ends up going. Season 3 has a lot of setup. And I'm very curious to find out what they do with it. We're probably not going to get that until 2028, I would wager. I don't see it happening next year. I think that's a little early. But I might be wrong. And I would be very happy to be proven wrong. If we can get it next year, I would be so happy about that. But if we have to wait till 2028, I can wait. There's other great shows. But yeah, I'm very, very happy that this has continued to be as good as it has. Probably one of the best like live action adaptations of a video game property ever. Right up there with the Sonic movies. It's that good. And I know it might be unpopular opinion, but I still say this is drastically better than Cyberpunk Edge Runners or Arcane. Like, it's drastically better than both of those games put together. Or both of those shows put together, rather. I may be one of the few who don't like Arcane or Cyberpunk Edge Runners, but I have my opinions and I'm entitled to them, just like everybody's entitled to dislike things I like. It's all subjective, so. But yeah, I say this is one of the best video game adaptations out there. And so I'm very excited to see more of it in the future. But all of that being said, if there is anything that I missed that you would love to hear my thoughts on, please feel free to ask in the comments. Um, because I might have forgotten some stuff, and I'm very much willing to talk more about this in the comments. But I would also love to hear your thoughts on these final 2 episodes and how everything went down and some of the mysteries we still haven't actually fully answered. I would love to hear what you have to think about that. But like I said, no spoilers for the future. I do want to go into this kind of with fresh eyes. I've been thinking about playing through New Vegas though. Um I have it on Steam. The only problem is I don't think my computer can run it while recording. I don't think my computer is powerful enough. I could try, but my fear is that it would be like super laggy and the frame rate would be shit. I don't know. I don't know. I could maybe try, maybe try to do a let's try for the gaming channel, but we'll see. We'll see. There's definitely a few factors I would have to take into account for that. But otherwise, yeah, I want to remain as spoiler free as possible. So, that all being said, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. And I guess now I have to announce what's going to replace this. Well, I mean, we've been in California, we've been in Nevada, but I want to go back to California. In fact, I want to go to LA. You know, the land of nightclubs, just really crazy criminal shit, and maybe a little sin. Yeah, we're gonna finally get back to season 2 of Lucifer. It's been a while. I don't know why I put it off this long. It was not my intent, but we're gonna get back to season 2 of Lucifer starting right away next week. So get excited for that. And all of that being said, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.